who are more than likely at work, in their office, at home. We have a lot of our people that are working at home. It's a it's a very interesting world out there, and and during these last 2 weeks, we've had very little opportunity to talk about plants. So let's get back to what we are in this business for to begin with. We have a great comfort level here, so let's talk about beautiful plants. I think it's important that we still have that to get us excited, to get our customers excited, and it's a great time, great weather to talk about plants. So let's forget about all that's going on for an hour or so, and just look at some beautiful pictures and talk about some plants that once those customers start coming in, that you'll be able to talk to. So I'm here in my office at Pride's Corner Farms. We have a lot of people that are working from home, so I'm really social distanced right here. The only thing in the room is is frankly the pink flamingo you see in the background, who's keeping me company, but no one within more than 6 feet of me. So I feel safe, and I'm ready to go to talk to you guys about beautiful plants. So we're gonna get rolling here, and we're going to talk about some perennials, although I'm not sure why we'd be talking about perennials for 2018. Should be 2020 perennials, and that's what these are all about right here. So let's go over some great new stuff. Proven Winners has a number of wonderful plants that they're coming out with this year. And so I look at ACHILLEA always as one of the most utilitarian plants out there in the landscape, and frankly, there really hasn't been a lot of new ACHILLEA that have come down the road in the last few years. But here we have Proven Winners that's done some great work in these yarrows out there, and they're really great plants. You know, anybody who grows ACHILLEA in their landscape or have it at home know how tough they are. Once they get established, they really are rewarding without you having to do a whole bunch. And this is what you're really going to get out of this series of ACHILLEA here. The first one that I'm showing here is Amethyst with bright pink flowers, and there's 4 in this series that we have picked up at Pride's Corner this year. So it starts off bright pink, it ages to lighter pink. You can see in the picture, you can see in that picture how you have the different grades of color there. So what's great about ACHILLEAs, as we know, these are short, dense, full, which is great. The flower color, obviously wonderful, but they're drought resistant, they're salt resistant. They're a great pollinator plant. Native bees and butterflies really kind of flock to them. They're deer resistant, and you know, what I like about them, not just for the color, but the fact of the matter is what is great about these is that, unlike some of the ACHILLEA that's out there on the market, these are going to stay upright. They're not going to flop, and you can see by the picture the great show. So this is a beautiful white one. Sometimes whites can be an issue with ACHILLEA because sometimes they age poorly, but as you can see from this, that is a pure white color right there in this ACHILLEA, and that shouldn't be an issue. I love that white color because it really is one of the purest I've seen. A lot of times they can look dirty, but this white really looks great. Peach sky, kind of another interesting color there. You can see that it opens up kind of a lighter yellow with a little orange shade, and you can see that it kind of ages to that peach color. So you're going to have quite a little bit of that mixed color on there, much as you saw with the pink. So This one happens to be a little bit more of a larger size. You can see the difference if we go back in this report, in this PowerPoint here. You can see the pink one tends to be the densest, the white fairly low and dense also, but the peach sky that you're seeing right here, wonderful color and a little bit larger plant. So you're probably going to use it a little bit more towards the back of the landscape, but I really love the color on it. And it has some of the same great attractiveness to pollinators and that deer resistance that you're looking for. So the final one in this new series of ACHILLEA from PW is the Firefly Sunshine. Now, this obviously looks pretty familiar. I mean, this is the same color that we see that has captivated us in a lot of ways for ACHILLEA over the years. That really kind of moon yellow kind of thing that really is just looks great in the landscape. And frankly, there's really not a lot of flowers that give you that kind of shade in the garden. So this is the Sunshine series of Yarrow. We have 4 beautiful plants here, a little bit varying sizes, but again, they have some of the same properties: long-lasting color, stiff stems, they stay upright in the garden, they attract pollinators, and they're deer resistant. So we'll be going through this, guys, and talking about a lot of these plants, and you'll see on your screen that there's a chat box. Obviously, with so many people on this webinar, we're not really going to be able to answer questions face to face. But as we've done in our past webinars, if you put up a question, I'll answer it as we go, and we'll certainly have a little bit of time at the end of the webinar to talk about some questions that you may have stored up. So that's always available, and we'd love to hear from you. 56 of you on the webinar right now, so I thank you for your time, and I hope the diversion is going to be a good one for you. AGASTACHE. Well, I got to say, AGASTACHE has become really a big plant around here, and it's always been kind of a great landscape plant. But we really love these POQUITOs. This happens to be, we've had some of the other POQUITOs and past and plast. How did that happen? In past years, we've had a lot of the POQUITOs, but this one really has such awesome color. What's great about the POQUITO series is its denseness, its want to color all summer, and of course having that blue color. It's really just a solid color for the landscape, especially in the summer. What I love about AGASTACHE is its pollinator attractiveness. Again, bees and butterflies usually find this plant easily in the garden. This one actually helps attract hummingbirds. It's funny how we fit that hummingbird mint common name in there, but it's apt. I've planted a couple of these in my yard and in the past, and I've seen that hummingbirds somehow seek it out. So that's a great thing for you guys that are hummingbird fans out there. I love this plant because it doesn't have to be in the back of a garden. It's low and dense enough where it's not going to be floppy. It's really just a nice, tight, bushy plant with lots of color that's low maintenance and drought tolerance when established. Let's face it, you can't get enough of plants like that. A good zone 5 hardiness and, as I said, great summer color. Well, the alliums are an interesting group of plants. They have been always more popular in the upper Midwest. They're tough plants. They hang in there. And, the East Coast has been kind of slow in picking up allium, I believe. But this serendipity is one of the many now that we are carrying. And what really makes these so attractive is the fact that they stay in bud a long time. It's amazing how long they'll have buds on them. But once they open up, they stay in color a long time. And when you look at a single group of allium flowers when they first open, you say, well, it's nice. but the full effect comes when all those globes are opened up, and the texture and the shape and really the life that alliums bring to the garden are really remarkable. So you get that kind of early summer bloom, late spring, early summer bloom. Lots of flowers on this one. Uh, that rosy purple color, which is not uncommon with the alliums. They just tend to be a lot of different shades of that. But we love serendipity because it's just so floriferous, and we get and actually, what is great about alliums also is they are very drought tolerant when established. They really will tolerate some bad conditions and really come out swinging with their flowers like this. Again, very attractive to bees and butterflies. Deer and rabbit, stay away from that. Again, there's a theme here in these first group of plants that really carries through: drought resistance, summer color, deer and rabbit resistance. All great plants, and this plant will also do well in a container. You'll probably it's a great mix in for a mixed container for a deck. So lots of ways you can use this plant, and alliums are really the way to go. They are really on the strong upward curve for use in the landscape. Well, there's also been a kind of an explosion of anemones out there, and listen, there's really not a better plant in in the late summer and fall than anemones, especially when they are vigorous. And let's face it, we there's been a lot of there certainly has been a lot of anemones that have come out in the market that have been, I would say, kind of vaguely disappointing. Good flower color, but they tend not to really survive well in the landscape, it seems, especially overwintering. But we really like this fantasy series. I've put two of the plants up here. This is Pocahontas, which has kind of a semi-double to double flower. That kind of bubblegum pink color. Love the center of that center group of stamens around that little center cone is really attractive. And what's great about anemones, obviously, is the long flowering period. Um, this particular variety and this group, fantasy group, is vigorous, which again has been a problem in the past with many anemones out there. So really floriferous, really good statement in the late summer and into fall garden. This is not the tallest plant in the world, as you can see. It's kind of a low, dense plant and wide as it ages. So again, a perfect plant for more towards the front of the garden. And as with all anemones, that partial shade area is just perfect for them. And as we know, we're always looking for ways to brighten up some partial shade. So there you go. That is Pocahontas. And we'll have its relative right here, which is Fantasy Red Riding Hood. And that is a sharp color right there. Now, as you can see, it's more of a single type. There's not that inner roll of petals, but that deepish, nearly red colored petals really sets off that center ring of stamens there and that little cone in the center. So you really get that sort of vibrant bicolor look. Again, that very dense, as you can see, 12 to 18 inches. It's got that bulky appearance without being floppy. Great bloom. So I think you'll really like this fantasy series. They're not the big ones that you've seen in the past that are kind of a great background plant, but I like these because they're really bold to the front of the garden. So that's the fantasy series of anemones and proven winners. Okay. Well, Virginia is kind of an interesting plant. Great shade plant, great early bloom color, nice foliage, and I'll have to say that uh, they're always kind of disappointing to me. I've had them in my yard, and they sort of limp along in my shaded area, and some of those older varieties, and you know, the promise of them always seems like it's been bigger than the actual performance. Well, I'm really excited about these new PW Virginia pink dragonfly, and I think I have another one to show you further on here. But so what's good about it? They're vigorous. That's really what I'm looking for. The ones in my landscape, as I said, they kind of putter along. Once in a while, I'll get some bloom on them. But what I'm looking for is a vigorous plant with that foliage. It's going to stay out in the winter, look great, and look wonderful here. Oh, I'm being told that that's not a proven winner. Wow, how'd we do that? How'd we do that, Allison? But again, I like these Virginias that are coming out now just because of their vigor. So, you know, they're good for early pollinators. Their deer resistance is good, and again, that early color wins the day. They're nice and hardy, so they're low and dense, and so given that foliage, that evergreen nature, and that early color, and the vigorousness that these selections have, I think is going to win you over and be a great shade plant. And this one is Winter Glow. Again, the foliage is the biggest difference here. So as you can see from the previous one, the pink dragonfly, you can see that foliage is a little bit narrower. And when you look at Winter Glow here, you're going to see that it's a little bit bigger foliage, and it also has really, instead of that kind of pinkish purpley color, it has that really nice orangey color there. And as you can see, I was also not going to call this a proven winner, so ignore the logo in the corner of the page. But these are two great new Virginias, great flowering. But that winter color that this brings to that will bring to the table here in that cool weather, that orangey peach color, really nice. So two good Virginia that you can really recommend with confidence this year. Well, I'm always a sucker for Brunnera, and because the foliage is so great. I mean, you know, let's face it, the flowers are, you know, it's a great little spring bloom, and they kind of look good above the foliage, but it really is all about the foliage here. And so, what's so great about Jack of Diamonds? Well, the biggest thing about it is just the massiveness of that foliage. Now, of course, this is set back a little bit, but that foliage is huge. I mean, and it's got great coloration, great venation in it, but 9 to 10 inch diameter on some of those on that foliage is really they're like variegated lily pads almost. So they're just wonderful, great in the shade. A wonderful plant to mix it up, add color to a shady area, and we've grown these. We had these plants last year, got a chance to see them. We put them in as new this year because it was really the first time we were offering them widely out there. And this is truly a proven winners, and it really is an improvement. Uh, so you're going to love it. You're going to love the big color that it brings into a shade garden. You're going to love its vigorousness. And of course, the added bonus to that is the flowers, those airy stems of flowers that sit above the foliage. But to me, with this plant, it's really all about that big, nice foliage. Great thing to have for shade. Well, the perennial world is littered with dark foliaged geraniums that people have gotten excited about, and then they've kind of gotten unexcited pretty quickly. And the reason is because the foliage is always intriguing. The flowers showing above that foliage always is great contrast. But listen, the biggest thing that's important about these plants is that they're vigorous and they live. Well, we just never been completely satisfied that we've had the right uh, dark colored geranium like this, but this one is really living up to our expectations. It's really a kind of a dense, really beefy plant. You can see in that picture below how full and big that is. And of course, it's not one of those, it's not one of the geraniums that creeps around the ground either. This is a big bushy plant. And so you have that great texture in the foliage. You have that great that dark almost, well, chocolate color of foliage that stands out. And then you have that you have the real purpley single flowers that always stand up above the foliage and will bloom for a good long time in the spring through and right into early summer. So I would say that this is one that holds a lot of promise out there. Really good for a half to a full day sun, and I think you're really going to like the color contrast. Now, Ellen, I see you're asking about audio. I haven't seen anybody else say that there's an audio issue, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to say to you about that. I'm hoping other people can hear me. No one's left. It seems like there's more coming in. Oh, thank you, Matt. No issue. Um, Chris, Jeff, perfect. Thank you. So let's move on from Boom Chocolata here and talk about Fire Twister. Well, this is another one of those deep dark foliage plants that seem to be making a real run into the perennial business right now. So I love this dark. Look at how it's almost so purple that it's almost too dark. I don't know whether you can get too dark of a foliage, but I really love that foliage color, and it makes those bright orange and red daisies just stand out above that foliage. I'm really excited about this plant. Like all Heliopsis, they're great summer bloomers and they're long bloomers. So not only do you have that great foliage, which is going to be there all year, but you have such a long bloom period, really from mid to late June, right on through October. So and all Heliopsis are pretty good pollinator plants too. I look at this plant and I say, man, this is the perfect plant for grouping, letting it get big in an area. You could also use this in a mixed container. It just has so much going for it that it's really kind of an exciting plant. Look at zone 3 hardiness. It's really got everything going for it. So this is Heliopsis fire twister. And we have a Heliopsis, a new Heliopsis in the American Beauties program, and so you can see this is a little bit more traditional, except that it's dense and full, very floriferous. That color that you expect a lot of times out of Heliopsis with those real nice yellow petals. But what I like about this is that it's got that subtle orange that happens as it gets close to that cone, and of course that center cone has got that contrasting orange color that really is wonderful. So it's a great native plant, and it's also a great pollinator plant. So attracts bees, butterflies. They'll flock to this in the summer. But the bigger thing is also that it's a great multi-season plant for pollinators. So what do I mean by that? Well, these flowers, and of course some of us are out there trimming off these flowers a lot of times to when they're spent, but I would recommend that you don't do that in a lot of instances. And echinacea is another one like that, but this is a plant that you want to leave with the spent flowers on it, because as the seed mature from the pollinated flowers, the birds just love them. And of course, this is one of the things to get that multi-season of pollinators and native critters, if you will, to your landscape. By leaving that seed out there, it's a great food source for your native birds. Deer resistant also, so another really great Heliopsis for your native landscape. This is Punto Russo. I'm good. We got a little bit of a line of new perennials in our American Beauties program, and this is not the newest plant in the market. It's just new to us, and I'll have to say we've had some green leaf varieties that we've carried in American Beauties for for quite a long time. And I don't know what took us so long to get this one, is what it comes down to, because it's really one of the nicest green foliage, basic green foliage ones we've had. Now, why do I say that? Well, I love the fact that newer foliage comes out with that, with those more reddish center like that. You can see in the middle of the picture, you can see some of that new foliage coming out. It's light green, and then it's got that kind of that red center and red veination that ends up maturing into a kind of a darker, almost purpley venation with a lot more silver overlay. I just think it's a great color combination. This is a really good heuchera for its vigor. I love the subtleness of the color. The leaves aren't super huge, so they give you a little bit of a different texture in there. It's not the most super flowering of the heuchera. I mean, it'll have its little bells that sit above, and pollinators like that. But they'll certainly attract butterflies and bees. But what I really like is just that kind of change up. It's a little more subtle than a lot of the heuchera out there. And the other great thing about it is that in the fall, it actually goes and gets that really kind of distinct orange color. So you got a lot of different things going on here. Perfect plant for mostly shade or partial sun. So this is Heuchera green spice, a great new addition to American Beauties. Well, let's talk a little bit about Pycnanthemum. I mean, uh, this is a plant that so few people really use in the landscape. Uh, and I get it somewhat. It's a great ground cover. It's aggressive. There's no two ways about it. But Pycnanthemum, time and time again, if you're looking at pollinator lists, Pycnanthemum is always way up the top for bees, for butterflies, and for birds. This is really kind of the pollinator plant on steroids. Any Pycnanthemum you get. The Tenuifolium that we have added here. It's got the slender foliage, a little bit of dappling on those flowers. The flowers are not overwhelmingly large, as you can see. They're kind of a mintish looking flower, but they're very attractive to bees and butterflies. Obviously, as with any of them in the Pycnanthemums, the foliage is fragrant. As I said, it's a great ground cover. And if you're going to do anything for pollinators, and let's face it, the pollinators are not out there practicing social distancing. They want to come to your yard, and you should let them come to your yard. And I think that one of the great projects that a lot of people should look to do in this crazy year is really redouble their efforts to make their yard into a pollinator island with these American Beauties native plants. And Pycnanthemum is really at the top of the list. So this is Tenuifolium, Slender Mountain Mint, but any of the Pycnanthemum in the program are really a great investment for your landscape. Well, we're going to get into some sedum here. This Little Miss Sunshine is one of the best new sedums that has come out in the last 2 or 3 years. Boogie Woogie here is in PW, and it is the variegated form of this. Now, it has that same tight nature. It doesn't really open up, and you can see it's really colorful. Now, some people really love variegated foliage on sedum, and some people just don't like it. This is in our sales team. Some have really loved this, and some have really said, "You got to be kidding me." But I think that's the way it is. You either love it or hate it. But what I can tell you is that it's really drought tolerant, like all the sedums can be. It's aggressive. It doesn't open up. It lives well in the landscape, and let me tell you, it's colorful at the very least. Like all sedum, excellent at attracting bees and butterflies, and really shows off in the let's face it, in the summer and fall when a lot of things are kind of fading or looking a little old out there. This is fresh, vigorous, and colorful. So that is sedum, rock and grow, boogie woogie, and proven winners. So uh, this is another one of the Rock and Grow series, but a little bit different. This is really kind of a dome here. And this is a white flowering sport of pure joy, which has been in the PW program for a little bit. Now, what's always interesting about these plants is that you look at these pictures when they're in bloom and you say, well, it's the first time I've seen a sedum that is a foliageless plant, that it's just all bloom. And that's what these plants really can do, is that they're just a dome of bloom there. You cannot see a piece of foliage under there. The foliage is nice, it's a great form. It's one of those lower spreading types of sedum, but it really is impressive when it's in bloom. And of course, as we know, as we were talking about with Boogie Woogie, excellent for attracting pollinators. Great for massing in a garden, perfect for a container. So this is Bundle of Joy, which is that white flowering sport of pure joy. And not to belabor the joy the joy group of rock and grow sedum, but then there's pride and joy, and this is different from both pure joy and our previous white one, in that it's a dark pink flowered color. So you have a chance to have the rainbow of colors in your sedum garden. And again, what I love about these plants is, and listen, we all realize that some of the older versions of sedum, uh, they look great, and then when they go into, they're nice, kind of a tall, upright bush, and then what happens when they bloom, they sort of start splaying. And a lot of times there's been some great bloomers that have done that and opened up, and just when you want them to look at their peak, all of a sudden they look like, well, junk. So what's great about these rock and grows and this type of sedum, the last three that we've shown you, are just how really dense and full they are. So this is sedum rock and grow, pride and joy, and proven winners. And so why not keep up with those PW sedums? This is Yellow Brick Road here. Uh, and what I can tell you about this, I've seen this plant for the last 3 years out in the Walters Trial Gardens. We make a trip there each year to look at the plants, and this one has always impressed me because of it doesn't jump out at you. It's not as compact and as cute, let's say, as well. Come on, where's my memory here? What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Little Miss Sunshine. Jeez. So it's not as cute and is not as kind of that you can hold it in the palms of your hand like Little Miss Sunshine, but it's vigorous. It's got loads of color on it, and it's just really a wonderful ground cover. And every year I've seen it out at Walters, it seems more impressive to me. So a real good ground hugger, a little bit more aggressive, obviously, doesn't lodge, all the great things that you want from sedum. Uh, tracks pollinators, drought resistance, et cetera, et cetera. But this is if you want something that gets a little bit bigger and is more of that ground cover, Yellow Brick Road is the one for you. Now, this plant right here may be the most exciting plant that's out there. Now, Spigelia has been a plant that has really just tortured us here at Pride's Corner for years. It's one of the great native plants. It's native to the eastern shore of Maryland, and it's just been impossible to grow. And believe me, we have straight Spigelia marylandica. We have killed in thousands of different ways here. It's for a grower of plants a lot of times, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. Sometimes we are really good at killing plants when we should be nurturing them. But it's a hard plant to grow, and this one is not. And let me tell you, What's great about it is, and again, this is another plant that I've seen at Walters for 3 or 4 years. We've been begging them to make this plant available. And they've been trying to build, and they finally got it. And we got a good slug of these this year, and these things are blooming machines. This is like such a breakthrough for a Spigelia. Again, nice tight bush, loaded with color when it's in bloom. It's just incredible how many flowers are on it, especially compared to the species. Uh, Hummingbirds love this plant, as you can imagine. Look at that red color that is really attracted to them. Pollinators love it. It actually does well in semi-shade to mostly shade. There's nothing wrong with this plant. It's sort of like it's sort of like one of those lightning bolt from God plants right here. You're going to love this plant. I think that once the season gets rolling here, we're going to when these are ready, they're going to sell hard. They're going to sell quickly. So this is Spigelia Little Redhead, and you're going to love it. So I got to throw in a Veronica here. This is Purple Illusion here, and Veronica is one of those plants that there's been pink ones, there's been reddish pink ones, there's been ones that have come onto the market, and this is one of those plants where it seems like it's only the old-fashioned ones that sell, and yet we've had plants here that are really, to me, so much better than some of the older varieties out here. And Purple Illusion fits into that. That the color is electric. It just is an electric looking color. And again, Veronicas, I'm always kind of mentally set for them to never really kind of excite me because they never sell no matter how good they look, it seems like. But this one, I'll tell you, in the test gardens, as I've seen them over the last couple of years, this plant really stands out. It's electric looking. It's really great tight form, longer blooming than some of the older varieties, very attractive to pollinators, great foliage on it. I just think a much better choice than some of the ones that are still out there dominating the market. So this is Veronica Magic Show Purple Illusion, another great proven winners plant that you should try. So we're graduating from the perennial world and we're going to head into woody land. So uh, there's a theme here, American Beauties, and we were stymied for many years, really looking for great native azaleas and rhododendron to add to our mix, and Azalea Atlanticum is one of them that we added this year, and there's just a real need out there for some of these native rhododendron. Uh, what I like about this plant is that the flower color has a little bit of that bicolor look, which is wonderful. The fragrance on these things is, as all of you know, with a lot of the deciduous natives, great fragrance on them. They're variable for size, but this is one of the more controllable ones right here, and really a good flower show. So these are great plants, as all the deciduous azaleas are for being in shaded areas, understory areas, areas of your yard that you got trees and you got maybe they're a little moist kind of thing. These will fit in perfectly. They're the great understory plant for grouping, and they're very attractive to pollinators. So this is Azalea Atlanticum. And this is Azalea calendulaceum. I love some of these names. Azalea calendulaceum, flame azalea. Let's leave it at flame azalea. So uh, again, a little hardier than the Atlanticum, which we put up there. It's zone 5 hardiness, and again, variably sized. This tends to be in the 4 to 8 range, but it's really kind of variable. But the flower colors are outstanding, and they tend to vary a little bit on plants too. Some yellowish flowers, some plants with orange, some with even a little deeper red. So um, So we have some great color with this. Again, some of the same conditions you want to put them in. Attracted to pollinators, love shady areas. So this is calendulaceum. This is the flame azalea. Well, this is one of the biggest things that we have as a new plant this year. Is the new gen boxwood. What's great about new gen boxwood? Well, they're uh, they're great plants for they're great. Well, let me put it to you this way: they're blight tolerant plants. Uh, People want to say resistant all the time. So these plants, could they get boxwood blight? Sure, they can get boxwood blight in absolute perfect conditions. But these new plants, Freedom, and you'll see Independence coming up, is that they are just spectacular and the most resistant to this issue on the market. And we've been talking. This is a Saunders Brothers plant, so the Saunders Brothers nursery, those boxwood experts have been in the boxwood business for literally decades. That they've done all kinds of testing, and the Saunders are really thoughtful people. They never jump into the market with something unless they really believe it, especially when it comes to boxwood. And let's face it, boxwood is a long-term crop anyway. So they've experimented with these boxwood out in fields in various areas around them in North Carolina and Virginia that are just loaded with boxwood blight. And they planted these plants so close to them that you would think that it was a death sentence. And you see these plants just out there performing well when all these older plants that have boxwood blight are sitting up there mostly defoliated and looking horrible. So that's really a great kind of that great poster for this being wonderful in the landscape. Now, let's face it, in coastal Connecticut, Long Island, Westchester County has been the epicenter for boxwood blight in some of those summers that have been really bad. And these plants are the answer to that. Highly tolerant to boxwood blight and also resistant to boxwood leaf miner, which also can be a problem up here. We just have kind of overlooked that in how boxwood blight has really shown itself. So what do I like about this particular variety, Freedom? It's a great grower. It grows quickly, it's dense and full, and it's got great green color to it. You know, I think that this is perfect for that little bit larger size boxwood that you have. It's kind of I think a better, in a lot of ways, a better winter gem. But it's green beauty. It's going to be that kind of a size sort of plant. So this is Buxus New Gen Freedom. This is the more vigorous of the two that we have, and the one that we still have a great amount of available for sale. And this one is Independence. Now, Independence is a little bit denser, a little bit slower growing, more spreading than Freedom. And think of more of something like a green velvetish type of plant, that kind of size in the landscape. Again, the same amount of resistance or tolerance of boxwood blight, the same resistance to boxwood leaf miner. But a little bit slower growing. Now, this one we have sold out of. We had quite a bit out there. So you're going to have to wait a little bit for this one until our next crop comes through in the early summer. But it'll be worth the wait. This is another great plant. So we have two new gen boxwood, Independence and Freedom, both wonderful plants. I see a question from Jessica while my PowerPoint has decided not to well, don't know what's going on here. So, does the boxwood stay green or turn orangey in the winter? I have found that for the most part that it seems like it's staying green in the winter. Now, I haven't seen this out extensively grown out in the landscape, so it's really just my look at that. I look at the winter gem that we have out there that always seems like it turns a little more orangey. This one does not display that. So Jessica, I'm assuming that it's going to be it's going to have more green to it. You know, this is what I love about being live and on the air here, trying to do these things. It's when the technology decides that it needs a break, and so that's where we are right now. It looks like I have no idea why, but right now, uh, my PowerPoint seems like that it's uh, that it's left me here. So I guess I'm going to have to improvise here. So the um, the next plant that we had on the list was Itea Scentlandia, and so if it ever comes up, you'll get to see this. What we like about Scentlandia, it's another proven winter shrub, and oh, we are having technical difficulties. Beautiful. So Scentlandia. What is great about Scentlandia is that it has much longer flower stalks on it. So it gives you a little more bloom than, say, it looks like a bigger bloom when compared to Little Henry, but it also has a more enhanced scent to it. So I guess hence the name Scentlandia. But when this blooms, you're going to get that kind of that really light scent in the garden that comes from that usually you'd have to get with IT up close and personal, but you'll get a little bit more of that standing over it instead of being right on top of it. So I think you're going to love that plant. It's not a huge difference. But it's a great variation with those longer flowers and uh, the um, uh, the longer flowers um, and the scent. What am I? Scentlandia. Come on. So um, Julia has a question here. A lot of these plants have zone 3 or zone 5. We are selling, or zone 3 or zone 4. We are selling in zone 5. Will these plants survive here? Uh, no bad questions, Julia. Yes, those plants will survive there. Um, as you guys that are on the webinar from up north know, you guys are looking for zone 3 or 4 because you want the stuff that you can recommend to customers for old-fashioned winters. Maybe not like for this winter, but for old-fashioned winters. So uh, just because they say zone 3 or 4, it means they'll grow just as well in zone 5. So so thanks for the question, Julia, and I think that you shouldn't have an issue. So I see that the PowerPoint is returned to my screen, but with 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 the same result. So um, I don't know what to tell you guys. Um, so one of the next plants to talk about is hibiscus, and it's I think we're talking, yes, white pillar. Hibiscus white pillar. So, what's important about these? Well, it's a form in the landscape that has been lacking. So, white pillar is a strong, upright, narrow plant that is perfect for hedging. And so it doesn't splay out. You know, everybody's used to those old Rose of Sharon that are kind of big and bulky and kind of our space hogs. What's great about this one is that it's upright, it's narrow, and you can plant them as a group and have really a hedge that's 3 to 4 feet wide and gets pretty tall. It'll get up in the 8 to 10 foot range. So excellent for that. I think you'll really enjoy that. It's a really good alternative. It's a pure white flower. Um, it uh, it does bloom well, like all these particular narrow upright uh, hibiscus. White pillar has tendency to bloom the latest. Purple pillar also like that, but tends to bloom the latest of any of the hibiscus. So sure, I'm sorry I can't show the picture right now, but narrow, upright, hedge-like. Um, it's perfect for that. So um, It's like I said, it's the perfect hedging thing. I hate to look distracted here. I'm trying to find the PowerPoint on my phone here, so I can at least describe some of these plants here. So let me see if I can do that right now. So I'm going to ad lib my brains out here, just so I can. Let me see here. Am I going to find? Okay. I'm going to try to open this on my phone so I can at least try to see something other than the small pictures. Beautiful. Can't download it on my phone either. Technology is great until it sucks. So, okay. So let me. I'm going to have to go back to old school right now and talk a little bit about some of the things right out of the old paper version of our book that we sent out this year. So let's take a look at some things here. I might even have to put these up to the camera here so you can at least see some of the picture of the plants. So we talked about Scentlandia. Why don't we talk a little bit about Physocarpus panther? So I'm hoping it's the best picture in the world. Look at that. So that's Physocarpus panther. Now, let's face it, there's lots of Physocarpus out there. What makes this one special? Well, whenever a Physocarpus comes out, we're always asking the owner, Mark, what's so special about him anyway. But he loves Physocarpus. Oh my God, there's a photo here. So there's the white pillar. Oh, too much to ask. So let's talk about Panther here. Panther is by far and away the darkest foliage I've ever seen on the Physocarpus that has come through here. It is one of the Bloom and Easy new plants, and they've had some really nice plants in that program. And what I saw with this is no mildew in the fall. It actually has a shine to the foliage. It's amazing how much of a sheen the foliage actually has with that dark purple color. I think you're really going to like this plant. It's a little denser than some of the larger growing Physocarpus. It really blooms well. Nice pink flowers. More of a, like all those Physocarpus, they kind of form that flattened head with the small flowers making up that flattened head, but very showy. I think you'll really like this plant. I was impressed by it, and it takes me a lot to be impressed by any Physocarpus. But this one, I think you'll really enjoy out there. So how about a spirea? Why would anybody put a spirea on an exciting new plant? And let me see here. There we go. So that's that exciting spirea right there. So what's so great about this Proven Winners spirea? This is Double Play Doozy. It's a crazy name, I'll grant you that. So what's so good about it? Well, it continues to bloom almost all summer. Now, why does it do that? Well, it does it because the flowers are sterile. They are sterile bloom. They don't put the energy into making seed. So they end up blooming instead of they put all that energy towards blooming. Nice, really distinct red flowers. The foliage is a nice green, a little bit of reddish color in the new foliage when it comes out. But what really makes this this plant be great in the landscape is its dense form and the amount of bloom that you're going to get nearly all summer on this. So this is Spirea Double Play Doozy, and it's one in a spirea world where there's some blandness out there. This is the one that's going to jump out. This is the reason why you want to go into new spirea here and rejuvenate that garden. So what's next? Oh, one of my favorite plants that you should be looking at also. It's a great lilac. I got to make sure that, there it is Centera Double Blue. Oh, I see my screen has come up here in a different way. So So let's see. Can someone, whoever is operating this? Oh, beautiful. It's like we're in control of technology here. How does that happen? So, oh, this lilac is great form, nice, dense, full. But what's really great about it is those double purplish blue buds that open to that lighter color like that. Oh, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. There we go. Thank you for that. Great disease resistance, no powdery mildew on the foliage in the fall, but very floriferous. It's an earlier flowering one, as you can see that it's a hyacinth flora. So beautiful. We have really great plants out there still available for you, and this is a plant that's going to make you love lilac. There's no doubt about it. So great flower form, great scent. This is Syringa centera double blue. So what else we got here? We have viburnum. There's a scented, fragrant viburnum are really, landscapers love them, homeowners love them. I really believe they're still underused in the landscape. Um, we have two new varieties here. The first one, Spice Island, very dense plant, slower growing, very floriferous, and I think it's what I would call the landscape friendly version, the home landscape friendly version of scented viburnum. So lots of floriferousness, great scent to them in a package that actually will work in the home landscape. Very excited about this one. This is Viburnum carlesi Spice Island. That we're the only ones that have this. We still have a little bit of availability. You're going to get some great fall color with this also, but Spice Island, excellent plant for your landscape. And then we have its close relative, which is sugar and spice. Now, what's the difference between them? Sugar and spice is a little bit more traditional, I would say. It's a little bit more open, a little bit more upright. Again, spectacular floriferousness, showy pink buds, lots of flowers, lots of scent, and a little bit more of a maroon to red fall color. But so this is the bigger growing of the plants. This is and this is as compared to Spice Island. And I'm going to tell you that both of them are great and really kind of breakthrough forms and sizes for Carlesi fragrant viburnum. So this is sugar and spice. So what's next? Whoever's running. Oh, here we go. We're into Weigelia. Perfect. So this is one of those plants that you discover on our nursery sometimes. So it seems like we have so many new plants out here. How can you pay attention to them all? And I feel for you guys. We introduce a lot of these great plants, but this was one that kind of got under the radar screen last year. This is called Snippet Dark Pink, and I knew it was out there. I saw it in the spring. Didn't really think much about it, except that it was dense and nice. Just a green foliage thing. And then midsummer, well, let's say probably late June-ish, was driving along in one of our farms, and I said, what is that is in such great color over there? And I had to walk over, and sure enough, it was this Weigelia, and it was so unexpected. It was just an amazing amount of bloom on this very dense, full plant. So dwarf habit, incredible flower power, uh, just blooms on old and new wood, and like I said, great form, and very much a hummingbird magnet. So this plant really surprised the heck out of me last year, and we sold it well because we kept taking pictures of it. It was like the perfect plant model out there. It just kept blooming and blooming for like 2 months. But it's a great plant. If you don't have it in your mix, this is one you should look at. This is Weigelia Florida, Snippet Dark Pink, another great proven winners, Weigelia. So what? Oh, and well, Electric Love is this is another one of those surprise plants from last year. So it's a dark foliated viburnum, as you can see in the Blooming Easy program. And again, we've been looking at these plants for a while. They have some relatives out there in the Blooming Easy program, and you know we hadn't seen a lot of bloom on them, to be honest with you. So we were really kind of unsure of which one is the best one to go with. But this one, when it started blooming, it was like a revelation. Everybody everybody that was out in that part of the farm started coming back to the office and saying, "Have you seen this plant out there?" And so I went out and looked at it, and it was just unbelievable. So we started taking pictures of it, and all of a sudden these plants had kind of languished here, for a few months. All of a sudden they started going on orders, and for good reason. Compact, really dark foliage doesn't take on some of that. With some of the dark foliage, they have this great red color when they come out, and then they kind of get that sort of bronzy, deep green background color to it. So it doesn't do that. It really has that really kind of true red flower on it. So this is really a great plant that you should try if you haven't gotten it already. We're having trouble now keeping it in stock because the word has gotten out and our salespeople love this plant. Like all Weigelia, easy to grow, good hummingbird plant because of those red flowers. And Mark is asking, well, how does this differ from spilled wine? How it differs is it's a little bit different form, although very dense and compact like spilled wine can be, but far more floriferous and a different colored flower. This is really a red flower, so it really stands out as compared to that. Both excellent plants, but this is different. This is definitely different from spilled wine. So, um, like I said, red flower, deep foliage, you're going to like it. You got to try this plant. It's Weigelia Electric Love and Bloomin' Easy. So what else do I got here? Oh, going the wrong direction. Oh, roses. I knew I forgot something here. Well, don't go too far here. There we go. Rosa Oh So Easy Peasy. So these sometimes people think of these oh so easies as underwhelming plants, and I got to tell you that they are far from underwhelming. And why do I say that? Now, this is a new variety here. I really love the oh so easy roses, and the reason I love them so much is that they're nearly indestructible. These are low dense plants here. You can see that Easy Peasy has these small pink flowers that sometimes can cover the plant. They're on and off definitely, but you're going to have bloom on this plant all year round, from really late spring right into fall. What else do I like about them? They're nearly bulletproof. They are just really tough plants. I love massing these plants in an area. I love it. You know what I always tell people? People are so reluctant to carry roses beyond the garden center rose window. And I always wonder why, because with a lot of the roses that are on the market, let's face it, teas and all that stuff, you get them and you move them out. I get that, but a lot of these other disease-resistant roses that are out there, they're just the perfect summer flowering shrubs. They're so rewarding, they're easy to take care of, and they just bloom like crazy. Who wouldn't want that? Sometimes I wonder why we call them roses. They're just great flowering plants. So this is one of those. This is Rosa Oh So Easy Peasy. What do we got next here? Ringo. So this is one of those plants that you've seen out there that has eyes, rose flowers. They started trying to breed eyes into flowers for a number of years, and I'll have to tell you the plants were weak. A lot of them we carried, some of them we got rid of all of them because they just didn't hold up. This plant holds up in the landscape. Vigorous, disease resistant, lots of different color on there. I really love how you get that kind of the older flowers with that white on it that still has that kind of really pinkish purple center. And then you get the ones that are opening up that are more yellowish with an orangey center. Lots of different colors on there, very floriferous. And this is a great self-cleaner. So Rosa Ringo, I think you'll like this. It's probably the best of what they would call the eyed rose flowers. Sunurita, another good proven winner's plant. A little more upright than some of the ones that I've seen, but what's great about it? It's got that kind of semi-double flower, and again, you get a little bit of that color change that happens on that plant. You know, comes out kind of a deeper orange. It kind of goes to almost an amber shade, a light amber shade. So you have all these different variations of color on plants sitting above dark green, disease-resistant foliage. Really a great plant. So Sunurita, blooming all year round, no deadheading again. They're really great self-cleaning plants. I think you'll really like this one. And all these roses that I've shown you are all own root roses. So they're going to be hardier. You see a lot of zone 5, maybe a little bit of zone 4. A lot of these haven't really been maybe tested as extensively as they should be farther north. But these are plants that are not grafted, much easier to take care of, and much hardier in the landscape. Cherry Teeny, this is a rose that is exclusive to our synergy group of growers here. This is one of the plants that we've gotten with being a part of this group with Sheridan, Over DeVest Nursery, Saunders Brothers, and who else am I thinking? Oh, of course, Willoway Nursery. With our people have been approaching us with these great with this great genetics. I like this new Cherry Teeny here. It's a Floribunda type of rose, so you'll have lots of buds with this great kind of cherry red double flower that opens in bunches. Clean foliage, very attractive to pollinators, good disease resistant. There's a theme that goes through here with all of these roses. So again, this is one of the exclusive synergy roses here. This is Rosa Cherry Teeny, a great Floribunda rose. Sunset Horizon. Now, I was just commenting before this went on here about when I was looking through the PowerPoint again, saying, man, this is about the most underwhelming photo you could get of this plant. And the only thing it really shows is some of the color variation that you can get on this. Which and it's kind of sad that this is not the best picture in the world, because when you see this when it's in full bloom, it's actually almost startling how great it looks. It has multicolored flowers, and they vary from flower to flower. There's really no two that are alike. Again, it's a great Floribunda, which means you're always going to get a lot of flowers, and but you're going to have reds, oranges, yellows, and any combination thereof. It's really one of those plants that you look at from day to day, and it's going to look different to you day to day. Compact, disease resistant, attractive to pollinators, a great plants that work plant. Another one of the synergy roses that we have exclusively with the 5 members of the group. I think you'll really like this plant. This is Rosa Sunset Horizon. Red Streamer. So what makes this a great plant? Well, again, another one of the exclusive roses we have. Its own root, it's a climber, and it's a compact climber. So what does that mean? Well, that means it's not going to take over the world. Some climbers are really are space hogs, and they're the worst kind of space hog, because when they hog space, they do it with long branches that have lots of thorns on them, the ultimate things that make people turn and run and let the plants take over the world. Well, you want to be in control of your landscape and your climbing rows. This is a perfect one to do that. Yes, it's not going to get as large as some of those, But what does it have going for it? It's vigorous yet compact. So it's not some wimpy rose that takes so long to get to a height. It's bulky, it's beautiful, it's got deep green foliage that's disease resistant, and it's got these really powerful red flowers, really a true red flower, which is hard to find out there. Great center, very showy. This is one that actually that you could even grow in a container on a deck if you had enough sun, because it's easy to control. So small spaces, small trellises, fences. Another one of the Synergy exclusive roses. This is Rosa Red Streamer. And this is, I think you're really going to like this. And Jeffrey's asking if it's a good bloom repeater. Absolutely. This is going to be on and off color right on through the summer. So Rosa Red Streamer. And finally, we have Rosa Whipped Cream. And this one was a plant that I run I order for the rose program here at Pride's Corner. And so what happened with this rose, I saw this out there in growing last year, and I said, hey, who ordered this white rose? I didn't order this rose. And it turned out I did. So, you know, another aging memory lapse there. But once I started looking at it, I was kind of glad that I saw it, because I would have completely forgotten about what I think is likely one of the best white roses that we carry out here. It's long blooming, it repeats blooming, the good solid 2 to 2.5 inch diameter, multi-petaled white flowers, great foliage behind it, really deep dark green that really shows off that pure white wonderfully. Zone 5 hardy, so its own root, as you can see, perfect in the ground for massing. You know, and white flowers together can be so powerful in the landscape, as we know. And it's perfect for containers. Teresa is asking about scent. I haven't noticed that it has great scent to it. It's probably light, but not overwhelming. But just that pure white and the amount of bloom and the background of that beautiful foliage makes this plant well worth it. Again, I think one of the best white ones on the that we're carrying here, the best white rose that we may carry. So that is Rosa Whipped Cream. So where are we at here? Oh, I know where we're going here. We're showing you 3 2021 plants before we sign off and answer some questions. So these are 3 brand new proven winners hydrangea that are just so much better than what are out there right now. So first one is called Limelight Prime. So it's a look at it. It's got those limelight flowers. It's no doubt about it. But so why is it better? Why should you carry this plant? Why is it so much different? Well, what you're really going to love about it, and that, you know, regular limelight is a great plant, isn't it? It's sort of now the base level fall blooming hydrangea plant. But, you know, let's face it, the foliage on limelight is really kind of, you know, it's kind of this really washed out limey green. It really isn't the best foliage in the world. This plant has really deep, dark, robust foliage. I really love, that's the biggest improvement that I see. Stronger stems, more upright. That's a really big thing. More compact. That's even better, because as we know, limelight gets to be a big plant. It is the standard for hydrangea out there, but you know, it's big, it's overpowering. It can really rule the world in your yard. So this is like half to 2/3 of the size, and really a great bloomer. All 3 of these plants we've been watching out at Spring Meadow Nursery that is breeding these plants, and we've been watching these plants for a long time. Let me tell you, there's nothing more overwhelming than going into a greenhouse loaded with literally thousands of plants, and then trying to narrow those down to the great plants. And of course, Spring Meadow's done a wonderful job. We've kind of been seeing this narrowing process over the last 3 or 4 years when we go out there. And this is a plant that really just stood above the rest here. Now, The other good thing, which you'll never get with a regular limelight, is that this is that great lime color here. There's no doubt, but look at that. What it really does is that it gets that pink color, that great pink, bubblegum pink to deeper dark pink that happens when the weather gets colder. So not only do you get the lime flowers when it comes out on that compact form with great foliage and stems, you get that pink color that everybody likes too. I mean, this is a plant that can do it all. So be ready for this in 2021. Hopefully we'll have some beautiful plants for you this fall to start out with, but we are super excited about the first of these new three proven winners hydrangea. This is Limelight Prime. So what do we got next? Oh, Firelight Tidbit. So interesting name, I'll have to say. I mean, sometimes the names that Spring Meadow puts on these plants are great. Sometimes they're a little out of left field. But what's great about this plant? Think about Bobo. Bobo is the plant that I'll have to say that we have done sometimes not the greatest job here at Pride's Corner of keeping ahead of the demand. This plant is in demand. Why is it in demand? It's dense, it's low, it blooms like crazy. It's one of those what you would truly call a florist quality hydrangea. Why is that? Well, when it's in full bloom, you can't really see any foliage on it. It's just spectacular. So why this plant? Well, it blooms just as well as regular Bobo, but look what happens. It gets it gets flowers that gradually turn pink and then a darker pink as the season goes on. Now, regular Bobo doesn't have that going on at all. So Firelight Tidbit, again, I like to call it's going to be a pink Bobo for you. It's not going to come out as pink, but look at even some of those new flowers you can see by that picture up there. They were open a little bit and that pink starts coming on. So this is going to be a plant that you better be ready for also, because everybody loves that dwarf habit and everybody wants something that fits into a small space. Well, guess what? This is going to be the hydrangea that'll do it for you. This hydrangea Firelight Tidbit, and the second of the 2021 new plants that you're really going to want to have in your garden center. And what do we have here finally? Quickfire Fab. So Quickfire was the original early blooming hydrangea out there. What was great about it is it really stretched the season. It started blooming in June, late June, which is as we know, 4, maybe 5, 6 weeks ahead of when a lot of the other hydrangeas in the landscape were blooming. So, but I'll have to say, for all its early bloom, it tended to be, kind of a little bit more of an open, upright plant. The flowers were nice. They were big flowers, but they tend to be a little open. Wasn't always the best show. It was great for that early color, but the more you looked at it, you said, man, this could be improved. And guess what? There is improvement out there. Quickfire Fab is, as you can see in front of Tim Wood there, is got lots going for it. Huge flowers, there's no doubt about it. Real early bloom, no doubt about it. And it's not football 6 blooms. It's, I believe, football size blooms. And the blooms start out a little bit different color than the old than the old Quickfire did. They tend to be, they're going to have a little bit of lime green in them, but look at how they turn pink like that. Huge flowers with that greenish white to watermelon changeover, and a really, really tight form. So the third of 3 new proven winners hydrangea for 2021 that we are really excited about. So that is, thank you for putting up with all those technical difficulties. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but thanks for that rescue there. I was running out of ad libs there, so I probably didn't do that well anyway. So really thank you all for showing for coming on. It was a great kind of 75 minutes of forgetting about the world and and really looking at what we all love, which is plants and wonderful plants. So what I'm wishing for you guys is the same thing I'm wishing for everybody: is that you stay in good health, that you stay safe, and that remember there's a plant-filled world out there that will come back, and will be we will all have a great year. We just got to get through this. And just remember, guys, that outside is the place to be. Um, you know, in this crazy world, you can get out there. You can put a shovel in the ground. You can play. You can play with plants. You can really, it really centers you. So good luck to you all. We're looking forward to supporting you all this year, and just let you know that I think we're all gonna get through this, and we're all gonna be better for it. So thanks again for coming on. We may have another webinar coming up just to fill some time here and pass on more information. So until that time, um, we'll talk to you. So if anybody has any questions, I'll hang around here for another minute or two, and you're welcome to ask. I'll be happy to answer. But again, thanks for spending some time with me. Thanks to everybody that's commented. I appreciate that, and like I said, we're looking forward to for talking to all of you soon. So be safe out there, and let's get through this together.